Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to talk about cerebrospinal fluid. What is cerebrospinal fluid? Today in this lecture I will discuss about what is cerebrospinal fluid, what is its composition, what is its formation, what is the mechanism of circulation, what is the reabsorption of the cerebrospinal fluid, what is the function. Okay, what is cerebral spinal fluid? Cerebral spinal fluid is a colorless. This is a colorless, clear fluid which is produced by the ventricle of the brain and circulate in the ventricle of the brain, around the brain and the spinal cord, in the subarachnoid space and in the spinal cord. This fluid is circulate in the ventricle of the brain and the central canal of the spinal cord and the in the subarachnoid space around the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, this is the cerebral spinal fluid. Cerebral spinal fluid have a same composition, just like a blood plasma, because cerebral spinal fluid is formed from the blood plasma. Okay, what is mean by this diagram? This diagram is the coronal section. This is the coronal cut of the brain. This one is the this one and this one is the lateral ventricle. This is the third ventricle. This one is the cerebral aqueduct, fourth ventricle, spinal cord, and terminal ventricle. Okay, I am not going on detail for the ventricle of the brain. Okay, but what is mean by coronal section? Coronal section, coronal plane. What is mean by coronal plane? That plane which divide the body into posterior and anterior side. Suppose this is a man. When I cut the body of this man and this section, okay, this is one cut. We divide the body into right and left and right side. This is the median plane. This is the median cut. But this is the coronal cut. This is the coronal section which divide the body into the anterior side and posterior side. So this is the anterior cut. This is the coronal cut of the brain. This is the cerebrum of the brain. These are the cerebrum, third ventricle. Okay, lateral ventricle. This is the thalamus. This one is the pons medulla. So on. Okay, what is the formation of the cerebral spinal fluid? Cerebral spinal fluid is produced by the lateral ventricle, third ventricle, and the fourth ventricle. Cerebral spinal fluid is a fluid which is produced by a complex structure which is called choroid plexus. This is the lateral ventricle, third ventricle, fourth ventricle have a specific structure, have a specific complicated structure which is called choroid plexus. This choroid plexus produce cerebral spinal fluid. When cerebral spinal fluid is produced here, it go toward the third ventricle. From the third ventricle, it go to the cerebral aqueduct and the fourth ventricle and circulate around the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, what is mean by choroid plexus? Choroid plexus is a tuft, is a huge mass of capillary which help in the production of the cerebral spinal fluid. When I zoom this area, this is the brain mass, this is the cerebrum, this is the third ventricle, this choroid plexus. When I zoom this area, okay, this is the choroid plexus. This is the choroid plexus. This is the mechanism of the formation of the cerebral spinal fluid. How cerebral spinal fluid is formed? Okay, this is the mechanism for the CSF formation. This one is the brain mass. This one is the brain mass. This is the ventricle, but this is the capillary. This is the capillary tip. This is the choroid plexus. Okay, how this capillary is formed? When choroidal artery is entered to the brain, to the lateral ventricle, here choroidal artery is entered. This is the choroidal artery. Suppose which enter into the this area. Okay, when choroidal artery enter to this ventricle, then this choroid artery is covered by the pia mater. This one, the black color, is the pia mater, when choroidal artery enter to the ventricle, this is covered along with the diameter. Then the choroidal artery is divided and redivided and make a huge mass of a capillary, which is called choroid plexus. Choroid plexus. This is the these are the ependymal cell. What is ependymal cell? Ependymal cell are the protective, supportive cell which cover the lining of the ventricle, and this cell also cover the capillary. When I zoom this, only this part of the capillary. When I zoom this one, this is the real structure of the choroid plexus. Okay, this is the blood. This is the capillary. This is the capillary. This is the cut section of the capillary. This is the capillary, which is covered by the by the ependymal cell all around. Okay, this is the capillary. When I cut this, section, when I cut this section, so this is the cut section of the blood vessel. The blood vessel. This is the blood vessel. This is the capillary. The capillary, as we know that here, is covered by the diameter. This is the diameter. These are the ependymal cells. Ependymal cells have microvilli and cilia. What is the function of microvilli? What is the function of cilia? Please wait. So these are the ependymal cells. These are the ependymal cells. This area is the ventricular area. Okay. What is the mechanism? The mechanism of the cerebrospinal fluid is when choroidal artery enter into the ventricle, then the endothelial cell. These are the endothelial cell. Then the endothelial cell of the blood vessel have a specific pump, have a specific protein which pump. This is the endothelial cell. This is the endothelial cell. Suppose the endothelial cell membrane have a specific pump. This is a pump. Okay, this pump, this is the outside. This is the lumen of capillary. Okay, this pump actively transport sodium ion. This pump actively transport sodium ion to the outside, to the ventricle. Okay, when sodium is thrown outside, then as you know that there are present in the blood. This is the blood. In the blood there are present chlorine, protein, amino acid, urea, etc., lipid, different types of vitamin. Okay, due to the sodium attraction, chlorine is also go out passively. This is actively thrown by the this channel, this protein. But the chlorine is go passively, because this is attracted by the sodium. When sodium go out, chlorine is also attracted here. Okay, along with the chlorine, glucose is also go out. This is the glucose is also go out passively. So there the pressure gradient is produced here. There is produced pressure gradient. There the concentration of the glucose, sodium, chlorine, along with these substance, different types of vitamin, amino acid, lipid, urea, etc., is go out also along with these substance. So there this area become more concentrated, and when this area become more concentrated, so large amount of water is go out. This water is also go out. So this is the formation of the cerebral spinal fluid. Here, when the sodium go out, along with this chlorine is also go out, glucose is also go out, and water, amino acid, etc., is also go out. So there a huge huge volume of fluid is found, which is called cerebrospinal fluid. What is the composition? So the cerebrospinal fluid mainly consists of the water. Cerebrospinal fluid is consists about the 99.13% of water and 0.87% of the amino acid solid substance. Okay, so 99.13% of water and 0.87% organic solid. So organic solid is the sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium chloride, phosphate, bicarbonate, sulfate. Okay, and these are the inorganic substance: sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, phosphate, bicarbonate, etc. But the organic substance is the protein, amino acid. Inorganic, but the organic is the protein, carbohydrate, vitamin, okay, uric acid, creatinine. So this is the composition of the cerebrospinal fluid. This one is the mechanism of the cerebrospinal fluid formation. So cerebral spinal fluid is pumped and the choroid plexus of the this these are the choroid plexus of the lateral ventricle, third ventricle, and fourth ventricle. So this is the mechanism of formation of the cerebral spinal fluid. What is the circulation of the cerebral spinal fluid? The circulation of the cerebral spinal fluid is start from the formation point from the choroid plexus. When this is the choroid plexus. When choroid plexus produce cerebral spinal fluid, this is go from the lateral ventricle to the third ventricle, from the lateral to the third ventricle, and from the third ventricle, this fluid is go to the cerebral aqueduct. From the cerebral aqueduct, this fluid is go to the fourth ventricle. These also produce its own cerebral spinal fluid. Okay, when this fluid reached here to the fourth ventricle, from the fourth ventricle, there present a pore, two pore, foramen lesca. What is foramen lesca? Foramen lesca are the two opening and the lateral side of the brain. This is the pore, this is the medulla. Between the pore and the medulla, this pore is present, which is called foramen lesca. Foramen lesca and the foramen megendi. Foramen megendi is toward the cerebellum. Foramen megendi. Okay, cerebellum is present here. Cerebellum is present posteriorly. So this pore is open into the cerebellum, and foramen lesca. This are two in number. Foramen lesca is open into the subarachnoid space, while this one is open into the cerebellum. Okay, so when fluid is reached here, the fluid is go out to the cerebrospinal fluid to the subarachnoid space. This is the pia meter. This one is the arachnoid meter. This one is the dura meter. Okay, so between pia meter and arachnoid meter, there present a space which is called subarachnoid space. So the fluid is go out and circulate and the subarachnoid space all around the brain and around the spinal cord. Okay. The most important point to be highlighted is the function of the ependymal cell. These are the ependymal cell. These are the cilia of the ependymal cell, and these small are the microvilli of the ependymal cell. What is the function of the ependymal cell? As we know that ependymal cell are the glial cell. These are the glial cell of the nervous system. What is glial cell? I am not going on detail for the glial cell because I have already uploaded a detailed class for the glial cell in many steps. Okay, but there the function of the ependymal cell is to ependymal cell here. There have some function. Ependymal cell help in the production of the cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid is found by the choroid plexus. The choroid plexus and the ventricles are covered by the ependymal cell, as we know. The choroid plexus, as we know, produce CSF. The ependymal cell produce also the CSF and excrete the CSF. The ependymal cell produce the CSF, secrete the CSF to the ventricle, and the cilia. These cilia are going to be beating. With the help of beating, the CSF is circulate. Here the CSF is circulate. All this area are covered by the ependymal cell. All these cavities are covered by the ependymal cell. Okay, so by the beating of the cilia of the ependymal cell, CSF circulate in this cavity. Okay, another function is the reabsorption. The reabsorption of the cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebral spinal fluid is reabsorbed, mean drainage into the veins. The CSF is produced here. The CSF is need to be drainage to be reabsorbed from this area and drain into the blood vessel into the veins. So the ependymal cell help in the reabsorption of the CSF. What is the reabsorption of the CSF or drainage? This is a drainage. What is drainage of the CSF? Drainage of the CSF mean absorption of the CSF. CSF is absorbed from these cavities directly by the veins, and the superior sagittal sinus mainly, and the ependymal cell. Okay, so the main site for the absorption for the drainage of the cerebral spinal fluid is the superior sagittal sinus. Fluid is produced here, circulate there, and this is the cerebrum. Suppose this fluid is circulate there, so they reach to the superior sagittal sinus. When this fluid reach to the superior sagittal sinus, this is the main site for the absorption for the drainage of the CSF and to the blood vessel and to the veins. Okay, how this phenomena occur? As we know that when this is a 5 meter, this is a arachnoid, this is a durometer. The durometer, as you know, that is a two-layered membrane. This is a two-layer membrane. These two-layer membrane are contact with each other and packed or strongly fused with each other. But when this durometer reached here to the superior sagittal sinus, this layer is broken down into two layers. This is one layer, the black color, and this is another layer. So this area become a hollow shape. Okay, this is shape. So there produce a sinus. There are many sinus in our body: superior sagittal sinus, inferior sagittal sinus, and brain have many sinus, cavernous sinus, tentorium cerebri. Okay, many sinus. But this is the main side part, the drainage of the CSF. So there pump a CSF. I am not going into detail for the sinus. Okay, when fluid is reached here, this fluid is thrown. I zooming this area. I zooming only this area. When I zoom only this area, this is okay. This is zooming area. When the fluid is reached here between the pyometer and arachnoid, this is the subarachnoid space. When the fluid is reached here, the pyometer, the arachnoid, this is the arachnoid meter, is broken down into villi. This is one villi. This membrane is broken down into million of villi. This is the one villi. So these villi combine together and make a huge mass, which is called arachnoid granulation. This is the arachnoid granulation. So arachnoid granulation is the main site for the drainage of the CSF. So CSF is secrete here. When the CSF is secrete here, this CSF is enter to the vein. This is the vein. This is the vein. This CSF is enter to the vein and again circulate in the circulatory system. So this is the drainage system of the CSF. Okay, what is the function of the CSF? CSF have some function. CSF protect our nervous system, okay, from the trauma, from the mechanical force. This CSF absorb when this is the skin, this is the skull. When there is some mechanical pressure, this mechanical pressure is going to this area. So there, this area is filled with CSF. So there is the brain mass. So the CSF absorb the mechanical trauma, the mechanical force. So the CSF protect our brain. Another function of the CSF is CSF provide nutrition to the brain, because CSF consists of many nutrients. So it provide nutrients to the central nervous system. Okay, another function of the CSF is to remove the metabolite, is to remove the waste product from the brain. Okay, they produce many waste product in the CSF during the chemical reaction. Okay, another most important function of the CSF is the is to circulate the pineal secretion to the and to reach this secretion to the pituitary gland. As you know that our brain near to the midbrain consists of a gland which is called pineal gland. Pineal gland secrete some important substance, and this substance is circulate in the CSF, and this substance reach the pituitary gland, so regulate the hormonal actions. Okay, these are all about the CSF.